What's up, you guys? It's Didodi. I just got back from watching In a Violent Nature, so I'm just gonna lay down what I thought about the movie. It starts off like kind of looking at this, really nothing. You hear some people talking, and then they do something that leads to this legend coming back to life, right? So the legend comes back, and it's this man, this crazy looking like Jason. You know what I mean? His name is Johnny. And so Johnny comes back and he starts walking around the forest. And that's what it is. And so we walking around, and the movie is all atmosphere. That's what it is. The movie is atmosphere. So you have to understand that this is a big twist on this slasher in the woods genre. We've had things like this and Hatchet, and this was kind of a mixture of Hatchet and Jason together. The kills are what is putting the movie out. Like, this is the big thing that the movie is riding on, is the kills. And the kills are fine. They're interesting. There's not as much screaming as I thought there should have been throughout the movie. But at the same time, probably the people that were in the situation were probably in shock. So they weren't thinking about screaming probably. But there's certain kills and people are like, oh my God, it's so horrible. And they're interesting kills to watch. I mean, if you've seen Hatchet and you've seen all these other things, well then, you've seen things that are similar to this, Terrifier and all that stuff. But my whole thing is, with a movie like this, is very risky. I think that this one was interesting and is a good watch. It was cool to watch. If you plan on going to see it, then there's not a lot of story there, but what's there is enough to get you to understand, what's happening. So that's cool. At least they did that. You get to be the killer, or see things from the killer's perspective. You're watching, the people in the cabin through the window. You can overhear them talking, and so you pick up on those pieces of the story that way. And I just thought that was an interesting way of putting this together, kind of like a found footage type of thing. It's just a little bit different. It's killer perspective. But my thing is, okay, when Blair Witch came out, it was the first found footage type of film that they wanted to run with and make a thing. It became its own genre. And this right here is from the killer's perspective, which is now basically a new genre. And I just don't know how much they could do with it. So we'll have to see how imaginative people are. And as far as this character I'm trying to figure out, is it burnt already? Because we've already seen it. And I don't know how you could do it so many ways. I don't know, will this have a trilogy, right? At least a trilogy, not as many movies as Jason, of course, but even a trilogy. Can we get a trilogy out of this? I don't know. Because that would mean that the kills will have to be more graphic, which is just what it is. It's just, gore and stuff. But it would have to be something like, the idea of this is special, but to do it again, I don't know if it would be as special. So that was the one thing that was on my mind after the movie went off, was if this was something that they attempted again, would it work? I don't know, but it does work for this, and it was a good time. So there's not a lot there. If you already are aware of what kind of horror movies these are, and you know what you're getting into, then you ain't expecting much more than to just see some cool kills. And they're there, but don't get caught up in the exaggeration of it all. Two movies I didn't like because of the exaggeration of them were The Descent and Slither. Both of those movies were marketed as better than all these other horror movies, classic horror movies that came before it. And so when I walked in to the theaters, or when I went to the drive-in, however I saw the movie, when I saw them, I was disappointed, because not only did they not live up to those icons, they definitely didn't surpass them. So I was like, why would you market it this way? But they got to get you interested and get you wanting to go see a movie. So that's how this movie's being marketed, is these over-the-top kills. And, it's stuff that you've seen, but it's an interesting take because of the perspective of the whole thing. So In a Violent Nature is something I recommend for horror fans that like that kind of stuff, like Jason and stuff, that don't expect too much out of the story, And I know you probably heard that the movie gets boring at some points because it's just walking around. But like I said, the movie is atmosphere, so that's kind of what is creating, even with him walking around, just walking around, or even when the camera's just like at the beginning of the review, I was kind of having trouble explaining what you're seeing. You're just not really looking at anything. You're just hearing people speak, and then you see this locket, and somebody removes it from where it was at, and it starts this whole situation. So In a Violent Nature is something I could recommend to that horror crowd that likes this kind of stuff, the slasher stuff, and Out in the Woods, Hatchet, Wrong Turn, stuff like that, you know. So it's definitely a good time if you're into that kind of stuff. I just don't know how many times they could do something like this. So that was my whole thing. I don't know if it's something they could carry on, but the fact that they did it is a cool thing. So yeah, I had a good time watching the movie. If you like this review, like the review, I appreciate it. Share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate you listening, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take it easy. I just wanted to add that later on, I did like The Descent and Slither after I got over that initial, disappointment. But I did like the movies later. And then one other thing I wanted to add about this movie was the aspect ratio. I really liked it because it was that tall type of aspect ratio where the black bars on the side of the screen. And so when he's walking around, it just worked better. And I wonder if they filmed this on film and not digital, because it seems like this was filmed on film and it looks great. But that's all I want to say. So you guys take it easy.